All right, welcome to a special Monday edition of the Fragments of Silicon Reviews. I had to deal with family this past weekend, so that's why we're doing this now. Like, in future weeks, family should be less interrupting of my schedule. At least that's the hope. But get to that when we get to that. Anyway, 4 games this week, 3 reviews, 1 impressions. Impressions up first with Takara Cards. Takara Cards is a tactical deck builder RPG about adventuring through the cosmos and karma. Pilot medieval ships using cards and find the dragons. Each adventure through space offers new challenges and stories in this roguelike. So yeah, that's a mouthful of buzzwords, I think, but not inaccurate. Because, this is a deck building RPG that's really centered around movement. Because your deck and your cards are the ship. And it's all centered around movement. And it's not just you. These missiles here. The way that they're pointed is the way that, if I'm remembering, is the way that they're going to move during their turn. And the rocks have their movement, if I'm remembering correctly. It's all movement based. Simple grid, 9 squares. And this is the base encounter field. What you will want to be doing here is, either destroying or absorbing. If I'm remembering correctly, that energy in the top left corner is something you can absorb. Granted, you can read. Yeah, you can read on the tiles what the things that do. And you do want to pay attention to what's upcoming in the top slots that are just off screen. That will show you what's coming. What you want to be doing here is the green card here, the ends jump. That's that's the thing that you want to be doing in these base encounters. You want to move around until you can do a jump, and the jump is when you're moving through the map. That's considered a jump, and when done the jump, and at the end it will tally your score, read experience and money, because this is an RPG sort of thing. And the ultimate goal that was mentioned, to destroy the dragons, the space dragons, that's the boss encounters. Did manage to get up to that. Shockingly elaborate, because it's a 2-phase fight. First, you have to break through their defenses, which is easier said than done. Because because they've got these 2 shields, engines. I forget what exactly the representation was. The point is, you got to do enough damage to one of these in order for the shield to drop, so you can move on to the next phase, which is fighting against the dragon itself, which I didn't get to. It was it's actually a fairly different affair than your base encounter here. Anyway, so that's the basic overview of the combat. There is a lot more going on. Like, I'd be lying if I said I understood it all, because the RPG mechanics here are actually really deep. Because, for example, there's like, 6 kind of karmas, all tied to a different attribute. Like, there's a rich karma, there's a light karma, something like that. And, the way you act via choices and purchasing decisions affects the karma, and that affects stats. Like, there's like 30 some odd pages of mechanics explaining in this game. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. Now, it's why I'm actually glad that this is impressions instead of a review, because, I didn't really have enough time this week to dig into the deeper facets of the game, but that's fine, because this is in early access. And I suppose I should talk about the state of the early access. So it's like the early access seems to be aimed at the content side of things, as in the game itself seems fairly polished and done. Like, what's on display here does seem to be like the full game. I don't see too much changing in terms of the like base mechanics or anything like that. It's more about producing the actual cards, races, enemies, and other assorted contents, if you will. Indeed, I believe like the Orcs races at time of recording just launched recently. Though I will note, when it comes to the races, your options are limited. It's one of these that locks that behind progression when they are available. Like, not all the races are available at the current time. So I suppose the question is, did this game make an impression? I would definitely say so. Like, I'll be honest, when I first saw this, I thought I was expecting much more of a card game than what I got. And make no mistake, this is still a card game. But as you can see, this is much more of a strategy game in terms of the field than I think anyone would have been initially expecting. Like, nothing about Takara cards in the name or the initial presentation outside of, it has a spaceship, but that can, that just means you're in space. You're a spaceman. So I think it works together rather well. Once again, if nothing else, it's got novelty on its side, because I've never encountered a game quite like this. I mean, certainly we have encountered indie rogue deck builder affairs of various sorts. Just not put into this quite of a stew, if you will. How have you been playing the game? What are your impressions?
There's a lot going on here, boss.
I know. Like I said, I do wish I could get into it because, like, you know, I explained the basics, but you saw a whole bunch of fields and numbers going on there. And all those tie into what's going on. It's a very deep game.
It's one of those. It's a card game, yes, but there's enough going on. They could not make it a physical card game.
Yeah, I'm like, it'd be kind of awkward as a physical card game because, like I said, it's something that would work better with, say, figurines in the real world than cards, because you're actually moving your ship, and the cards are moving. Like, there's just a lot of movement here, and I mean not just putting a card down or, you know, putting into a mode, or, you know, it's like simple movements. Like you're moving the entire board basically every turn. Like, I don't like. That doesn't sound like a very practical real-world card game to me. I mean, maybe there's something like that, but, you know, that's going to have a very dedicated fan base and nothing else. Anyway. So, graphics here are fairly interesting because they're touting a 80s manga anime-inspired style. I guess, like, it's, I can sort of see it, but, you know, it's like, when I look at this, I'm not, like, I look at the dwarf here, and I think a bit of, say, Poco Rosso of all things.
Something like that, maybe?
You know, it's like, you know, I've seen games where I'm instantly going, yeah, okay, that looks like Gundam or Macross or whatever. You know, it's like, you know, yeah, that looks like the 80s. You know, 80s anime, manga, what have you. This, there's some of it, but not as much as I think is touted. The music is surprisingly good. At least the opening theme is what they called a banger. So, for whatever that's worth. And in terms of pricing, so this game clocks in at $14.99 currently. It is set to increase, and like I'm not sure if it's already increased in price during the early access period, but it will increase they will increase the price of the game at launch, or rather at 1.0. And for a game of this sort, $15 is perfectly reasonable. You know, you just have to decide, like, this is definitely on the more subjective end of things. Like, you have to decide if, you know, if such a movement-based card game is what you're looking for in a roguelike deck builder thing. I mean, personally, this wasn't my cup of tea, but I can respect its breadth and scope. Right, is there anything else you two want to add to the proceedings?
Not really.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay. Right, so that'll about do it for this game. Be sure to tune in after the break, as Petty will be reviewing RoboQuest.